Shalom and Erev Tov. Good evening. I am Jonathan Hessen and this is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Advanced military preparations for the occupation of Gaza City are ongoing as Israel marks its 700th day of war swords of iron. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu acknowledges that Israel will enact a unilateral response to a list of countries that intend to recognize a Palestinian state. President Isaac Herzog meets Pope Leo XIV, urging him to support efforts to release hostages from Hamas captivity. Advanced military preparations for the occupation of Gaza City are ongoing, as Israel marks the 700th day of war swords of iron. At the same time, up to 20 of the 48 hostages are still believed to be alive, continue to endure the brutality of Hamas captivity in the Gaza Strip. In a televised address to the nation, IDF spokesman Brigadier General Efi Defrin reiterated Israel's firm resolve to return every hostage.
מאז פתחנו במבצע מרכבות גדעון, צה"ל חילץ מעזה את גופותיהם של 10 חטופים וחטופות. לכל משפחות החטופים, החיים והחללים כאחד, אני מבקש לומר בצורה הברורה ביותר. פיקוד הדרום, על מפקדו, על חייליו ומפקדיו, יחד עם מפקדת השבויים והנעדרים, אמ"ן ושב"כ, משקיעים מאמצים כבירים, הופכים כל אבן כדי להשיב את החטופים הביתה. נמשיך לעשות הכל כדי להשיבם.
General Defrin continued to highlight that the escalation of Operation Gideon Chariots, which has now entered its second phase, focuses on dismantling Hamas' grip over Gaza City.
בשבועות האחרונים פתחנו בשלב ב' במבצע מרכבות גדעון. השבוע התחלנו לגייס עשרות אלפי משרתי מילואים לקראת העמקת הפגיעה בחמאס בעיר עזה. כוחות המילואים מהווים מכפיל כוח לכוחות הסדירים ומצטרפים כעת לכוחות המתמרנים. במסגרת הרחבת מבצע מרכבות גדעון, כוחות צה"ל בפיקוד הדרום פועלים בתוך העיר עזה. כוחות אוגדה 99, בהם צוותי הקרב של חטיבת הנחל וחטיבה 7, נלחמים בשכונת זייתון, וכוחות אוגדה 162, בהם צוותי הקרב של חטיבה 401 וחטיבת גבעתי, מתמרנים בפאתי שכונת שייח רדואן, השכונה הצפונית בעיר עזה.
The IDF spokesman continued to reveal that Israeli forces have already secured roughly 40% of the city, a significant step in Israel's broader campaign.
כיום אנחנו אוחזים ב-40% משטח העיר עזה. הפעולה תמשיך להתרחב ולהתעצם בימים הקרובים. חמאס יפגוש בעיר עזה את כוחות צה"ל במלוא עוצמתם. נגביר את הלחץ על חמאס עד להכרעתו. נמשיך לרדוף אותם בכל מקום. צה"ל ימשיך להעמיק את הפגיעה בחמאס בעיר עזה. בימים הקרובים יימשך גיוס המילואים. אני רוצה לפנות למשרתי המילואים ולמשפחותיהם. אנחנו ערים לעומס המוטל עליכם כבר כמעט שנתיים. נפעל על מנת לאפשר אורך נשימה, לצד המשך הלחימה. הנחישות והרוח שאתם מביאים איתכם מאפשרים לצה"ל להמשיך ולבצע את משימותיו. כולנו מצדיעים לכם. המשימה עדיין לא תמה. אנחנו נמשיך לפעול במקצועיות ובאחריות בכל גזרות הלחימה, עד להשגת מטרות המלחמה כולן. בראשן, השבת החטופים ומיטוט שלטון החמאס.
Meanwhile, in an exclusive interview with a popular Israeli telegram channel called AliExpress, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that Hamas faces 2 clear options from which it must choose.
יש שתי אפשרויות, או כניעה או השמדה. אני מדבר על חמאס, לא על האוכלוסייה האזרחית. או כניעה או השמדה. אם פלן A, כניעה לא עובד, יהיה פלן B, השמדה.
While underscoring Israel's unwavering determination to eradicate the Islamist Hamas throughout the Gaza Strip, Prime Minister Netanyahu asserted that he is keen on ending the war as quickly as possible, stating that once war concludes, opportunities for peace could be renewed.
הכוונה שלי היא לסיים את המלחמה מהר ככל האפשר, וזה מחייב את הצעד שאנחנו עושים. כשזה יקרה, אני מאמין שיתפתחו כאן הזדמנויות נוספות, גם עם סעודיה וגם עם מדינות רבות אחרות, כולל מדינות מוסלמיות מחוץ לאזורנו.
Turning to international developments, Britain, France, Canada, Australia, and Belgium have all said they will recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly later this month. When asked whether Israel would respond by asserting Jerusalem's sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, Prime Minister Netanyahu clarified that the entire campaign for recognition was instigated by the Palestinian Authority, which is in breach of understandings and treaties that it had adopted with Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister warned that any unilateral moves would be met with reciprocal Israeli measures.
קודם כל, מי שמקדם את זה בראש ובראשונה זה הרש"פ, וזה בניגוד להבנות והסכמים שהיו, שהדברים האלה יוכרעו במשא ומתן, אוקיי? אבל אם עושים עלינו צעד חד צדדי, שלא יתפלאו, אם אנחנו נעשה צעדים חד צדדיים בהתאם, מה נעשה בדיוק אני לא חושף כאן.
Turning to Ecuador, where during a joint press conference, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sharply criticized the country's pledging recognition of a Palestinian state, stressing that their motives are rooted in domestic politics and carry no real impact on the ground. Rubio stressed that Washington had warned its allies that Israel would respond with concrete, unilateral actions, steps with real consequences for the future of the internationally supported two-state framework.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Palestinian Authority has its own set of problems. Pay for slay. They pay people to kill Israelis. We have problems with them too. Obviously, Hamas is at a different category, but we have problems. Look, we told all these countries, we told them all. We said, if you guys do this recognition stuff, it's all fake. It's not even real. If you do it, you're going to create big problems. There's going to be a response from Israel. You're going to make it harder to get a ceasefire. And it may even trigger these sorts of actions that you've seen, or at least these attempts at these actions. So we're watching it closely. I'm not going to opine on it today, other than to tell you that we predicted this would happen. We warned everybody it would happen. But nonetheless, some of these people decided they wanted to move forward with something that's illusory. Right now, we should be focused on how do we end this war in Gaza? How do you eliminate Hamas? How do you disarm Hamas? That war could end tomorrow if Hamas just disarmed and surrendered and released the 20 hostages, which shouldn't even be there, would end. Hamas refuses to do that. So, but that said, we don't like the humanitarian suffering. We've offered a lot of aid. We've provided a lot of aid. We're prepared to provide aid now, and we're prepared to provide a lot of aid after the war ends as well, along with other countries around the world. But as far as what you're seeing with the West Bank and the annexation, that's not a final thing. That's something that's being discussed among some elements of Israeli politics. I'm not going to opine on that today. What I am going to tell you is it was wholly predictable. We told all these countries before they went out and they did this, we told them that if they did this, they went through with this thing, there wasn't going to be a Palestinian state, because that's not the way a Palestinian state is going to happen, because they have a press conference somewhere. And we told them that it would lead to these sort of reciprocal actions, and it would make a ceasefire harder. And by the way, let me tell you,
Secretary Rubio continued by reiterating his frustration with the French announcement of its intention to recognize a Palestinian state, saying it was a key reason the Islamist Hamas walked away from the negotiating table.
the day that the French announced their thing, the thing they did, that day, Hamas walked away from the negotiating table. They immediately increased their demands and walked away and stopped negotiating. So that we also warned that that would happen, and it did. So, but sometimes, you know, these guys don't listen. They do what they're going to do because of their own domestic politics, which is fine. But these are consequences of that.
Back in Jerusalem, families of hostages and their supporters demonstrated outside of the president's residence last night. Among them was Vicky Cohen, whose son, IDF soldier Nimrod Cohen, remains in captivity. She called on President Isaac Herzog to raise his voice to further their imperative cause of bringing the hostages home. The protest came as Herzog was on a state visit to the Vatican, where he met with Pope Leo XIV. During their meeting, Herzog urged the Pope to intensify international efforts to secure the release of the 48 remaining hostages held by Hamas terrorists for 700 days. He stressed the immediate and grave danger they face and the deep anguish of their families. He also requested that the Pope meet personally with the hostage families. Beyond the hostage crisis, President Herzog also addressed the rise in global anti-Semitism, the importance of protecting minorities in the Middle East, particularly Christian communities and the Druze communities in Syria, as well as the well-being of Christian communities in Israel, Judea and Samaria, and Gaza. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please continue to pray for the hostages and for the peace of Jerusalem. If you are blessed by TV7 Israel, which relies entirely on viewer donations, we invite you to support our productions at www.tv7israelnews.com. I am Jonathan Hessen. Until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.